Snow cone mini one shot. I don't like angst, so don't expect much. I hate sadness. Unless it's like a happy kind of sad. Izuku was still stuck inside of his room. He had been there for the last 2 weeks without coming out expect to use the bathroom. Ochako was worried. The man she had married was always so full of energy and always the most selfless person she had known. That all changed with All Might's death. He died as a true hero should. He saved his successor, but the cost was far too great. He died saving Izuku. The only good thing is he went out with a smile on his face. But it hurt Izuku. It didn't just hurt. It was as if someone repeatedly stabbed him in the heart, but his body refused to die. Ochako understood that he would be sad. She herself was devastated, but nowhere near as much as Izuku was. Ochako knew she had to do something. "Deku," said Ochako, lightly knocking on the door with a plate of dinner in her hands freshly made. She didn't get a response. He hardly ever said a word anymore. Only thing Ochako heard was either, "I'll be alright, thank you Ochako," or, "I love you." She slowly opened the door and looked on their bed to see Izuku lying under the blankets with his head sticking out facing the wall. "Deku honey, I brought you dinner," said Ochako. He didn't respond. Ochako walked over to the side table beside the bed and sat the plate down while picking up the old one which still had his breakfast on it, completely untouched. "You've barely eaten anything these last 2 weeks. Just enough to survive. Please eat Deku. You will get weak and sick if you don't," said Ochako. "I will try to," responded Izuku weakly. Ochako had a small smile form on her lips. He had finally said something new. She placed a small peck on his forehead and went to the door carrying the plate. "Deku, you know you can talk to me, I'm here for you," said Ochako. She didn't get a response. She closed the door and walked into the kitchen throwing away the old food. 2 hours later, Ochako opened the door to her bedroom and slipped inside the king-sized bed they shared. She took a look at the plate to see he ate about half. She scooted all the way to the other person and cuddled up with him. "I love you," whispered Ochako. "I love you too Ochako," whispered back Izuku. The next day. "Yeah, he is still like this Asui. I'm honestly getting worried. He has made a bit of progress but it could be months before he is himself again," said Ochako on the phone while making lunch. "Well, I hope he gets better soon. Everyone over here at the agency misses him," said Asui. "Even Bakugo?" asked Ochako. He is more pissed that he now has the #1 hero spot without Midoriya to compete with. "He feels like he didn't actually earn it," said Asui. "Well, I am hoping Deku comes back to kick his ass in the rankings again. I'm going to bring him lunch and try to cheer him up again," said Ochako. "If he gets better, bring him here so everyone can see him." "Bye Ochako," said Asui. "I will. Bye Asui," said Ochako, pressing the end call button. Story continues below. She grabbed the plate of lunch and carried it to the bedroom. "Deku," called out Ochako as she knocked on the bedroom door. No response. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. "Deku, I brought some." He wasn't in the bed. In fact, he wasn't even in the room. "Deku," called out Ochako. She immediately searched all over the house but couldn't find her husband. Deku, thought Ochako looking outside at the snow. She immediately grabbed her shoes, and a blanket and ran outside. Meanwhile, Izuku sat down in front of the former symbol of peace's grave showered with all kinds of flowers and cards. It definitely stood out in the cemetery. He looked at the grave as he started to cry. He buried his face into his hands. I'm so sorry All Might. If I had been stronger or maybe if you made someone else your successor. You would still be alive, said Izuku. He wiped away his tears which proved useless as more came down from his eyes. This is all my fault. I wish I had been stronger, said Izuku. He suddenly felt a blanket wrap around his body. Huh, said Izuku. You will catch a cold if you stay outside without a jacket, said Ochako. Hey Ochako, said Izuku. Hey Deku, said Ochako sitting in the snow beside him. What are you doing here? Asked Izuku. Well, when my husband is in his room for 2 weeks and he suddenly disappears, I tend to go looking for him, said Ochako. You can go home. I'll be fine, said Izuku. Heard that before. Deku, you know it hurts me to see you hurt. I want you to talk to me, said Ochako. I know you are hurt, Ochako. But I feel much worse, said Izuku. I know, and that's why I am here. I want you to be the happy Deku I feel in love with. Not this unhappy depressed Deku, said Ochako placing her hand on top of his. Quote. It's my fault, Ochako. If I had been stronger, he would still be alive, said Izuku starting to cry once more. Ochako grabbed his head and placed him on his shoulder as he cried. It's not your fault, Deku. He sacrificed himself to save you and he did it willingly, said Ochako. But, I was weak, said Izuku. And that was then. You need to keep moving forward and grow stronger so you can protect those that are still with you. He gave his life for you. You can't waste that sacrifice by just moping around, said Ochako. Why, you're right, Ochako. But it still hurts, said Izuku. I know, and it will always hurt. But you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. You will get stronger and always protect those you care about, said Ochako. That includes everyone and you also, well, said Izuku. Well, +1, said Ochako. Huh, what do you mean +1? Asked Izuku. I wanted to tell you this under better circumstances but... Deku, I'm pregnant and we are having a baby, said Ochako rubbing her belly. What? You're pregnant, said Izuku now full of life. Yes I am, I learned about it just last week, said Ochako. You mean I'm going to be a dad? Asked Izuku. Yes, and you will be a GRWO, said Ochako now being up in the air in a tight hug by Izuku. I'm really going to be a dad, said Izuku. Yes, and you will be amazing, said Ochako. I think I already got the perfect name, asked Izuku. What is it? Asked Ochako. All Might Jr., said Izuku. Hell no, said Ochako. I hate this. I hate angst.
Finally, we can relate. Our side by side, this is vain. I knew all along we'd find some way to come.